but today they put things right at the death against Celta. Still a lot to talk about with this team and still some problems that resurfaced today. But this is how things look in the table ahead of Barcelona playing their game against Athletic this weekend. Real Madrid now a point behind them, but they have played one game more than them. Mario Suarez was watching this game for us. They did it, Mario. They did it at the death and got those 3 points.
Yes, it's amazing because of the individual talent. I think this is the worst Real Madrid, I don't know, in 15, 20 years, and they are fighting for the title. This talks about from the level of La Liga right now. It's amazing. Today, Real Madrid shots just 3 times on target. They scored 2 goals because 2 of the best players this season, the most regular ones, Valverde and Tchouaméni, are scoring. Vinicius, he has the first target on the first half, but we didn't see nothing else from Vinicius, from Brahim. Gonzalo came from the bench. They finished with 3 players coming from the academy. So it's a lot of noise around Real Madrid, but they won today. That's their reality, and they are still fighting for La Liga.
There'll be a little less noise now after getting this win, won't there, Ale?
Tiny little, un poquitito less noise as it pertains to Real Madrid and the continued pressure on this group. I hate to tell you that I told you so, but I told you so. This is how this team was going to win this game today. It was never going to be pretty. It was never going to be dominant. It was never going to be something that you felt like, look at Real Madrid, they're back. You just said that they put things right. They put things right-ish. Right-ish. Look, had Real Madrid lost today, it would not have been a surprise. Iago Aspas is inches away from that ball bouncing off the post and in. Instead, it bounces off the post and out. And then Real Madrid depends on a deflection for them to win the game. But they don't care in the big picture because you get the 3 points and you're still very much in the conversation with Barcelona, top of the table. A Barcelona team that has their own issues and their own concerns. But if you want to look indeed at Real Madrid and the performance itself, this was no better than whatever they did against Osasuna. It was not better than whatever they did against Getafe. This was not an improvement. There's still lingering questions about this group, how they go about creating opportunities. Why do they get so disconnected in the midfield? Why can they not control the possession of the ball and the pace of the game as much as they should? Trent Alexander-Arnold, well, it's not a secret he can't defend. Breaking news, he still can't defend. And so the concerns remain for Real Madrid. Now, the thing that makes it un poquititititititissimo better today is the fact that they won the game. And that perhaps allows the team to take a breath and to enjoy the lack of noise up until they play Champions League against Manchester City. So I suppose the build-up to the game against Manchester City is going to be with a whole lot more of a positive vibe, if you will. But still, let's not get crazy. This team still has a lot of issues.
Let's continue that talk on Trent Alexander-Arnold because we talked about seeing the best and the worst of the player in this game.
Hold your breath. He can't defend. And he's, well, I think he was Liverpool from a kid, 12 years maybe, something like that. And not one day of those 12 years has he been able to defend. And so Real Madrid knew exactly what they were buying. Because you have to think they scouted him in Liverpool's first team and he couldn't defend for them either. Now that ball you see him putting through for Vinny is what Trent Alexander is all about on one half of the field. But unfortunately, this is the Trent Alexander on the other half of the field, and it is a player who doesn't know how to defend. There's no grey area. He doesn't understand the art of defending. But because of what he gives you going forward, then you somewhat will allow the mistakes. Unfortunately for Real Madrid, they find themselves in a position where they can't afford them to make mistakes defensively because they're not scoring enough goals going forward, and defensively, they're not tight. So, yeah, Trent Alexander-Arnold is a guy who, on 2 halves of the field, is completely the opposite. He's brilliant on one, let's say, not very good. That's
Well,
the kindest thing I can say about the other half.
What would bother me, though, Stevie, while I can accept that a player doesn't have defensive instincts, even though he's playing right back, but okay. Let's accept that he doesn't have those defensive instincts. Give me the effort at least. He gets beaten in behind by Viliot Svedberg, and there's not a point in that sprint in which he's actually going full speed. And so that's effort. That's not so much I don't know how to defend. He's just not willing to run. And that I mean, as a player, as a former player, and if I were his teammate, I'm like, look, I can take the fact that you maybe don't know how to defend, but give me a full sprint and get yourself in a position where you can get in between the ball and the goal. And that he never does that.
Ali, I've had a lot of years to try and figure this out.
Okay.
And I think I've figured it out. I don't honestly believe it's about the effort. It comes across, no question, the eye test comes across that the effort's lacking. But I think what he does is he starts thinking about what he's supposed to be doing, and then it all just falls apart. You know, I agree. Should he have gotten ahead of his attacker instantly when he stops and lets him go?
Yes.
Number one, that's what a proper defender would have done. But then from there, he's thinking, okay, I don't want to give a foul away. I'll let him get there just in case I can't get there. Then I'll get myself in a position to defend, which a normal defender would think. But then when you have no instinct of what position to be in, you end up too far off him and you don't affect the play. So I understand that when you look at it, the eye test says there's a lack of effort. I just think there's a lack of knowledge of how to defend when you're in that position. And then when he tries to think about it, he can't come up with an answer because he doesn't know what to do.
Do you have the answer, Mario? Is it hard to watch with the defensive eye when we see this side of Trent Alexander-Arnold's game?
To be honest, I know all the quality that has with the ball, but in defending, it's hard to see this. And even, you know, it's not only about Trent, but when we are talking about Trent and you have Dani Carvajal on the bench, that is the captain, is a legend in Spain, you think that he must be not really fit to don't be playing right now because Trent Alexander, even that he's a good player, is not performing in the right way to be a starter in Real Madrid. So, and most of the problems that he's having is in the defensive, and he's not having the right center back to be able to help him when he's not in the right position, you know. So I think Trent needs to adapt to Real Madrid, but when we talk about a team and the team is not performing well, every player is performing worse than when he normally is, you know. So Trent Alexander-Arnold is struggling here in Madrid, and he will need to improve to continue next season here for sure.
I think Mario's spot on, you know, because Kanate was the reason why Alexander-Arnold was successful at Liverpool. Kanate covered for him. Every time he went forward and got caught out, Kanate came across and covered him. So I'm 100% with Mario. He needs a centre-back who's going to do his job as well as his own.
Absolutely. OK, Ali, let's talk about the penalty review in the second half and what you made of this one and whether they got the right decision.
Well, I think they did. The first question we have to ask ourselves, is it a handball? Well, yes, it is from Ferran Jugla. And you sort of wonder, what in the world are you doing? But the other thing that you have to ask when you watch the video, is there a push of Cesar Palacios on Elijah Moriba right in front of Ferran Jugla? And it is a two-handed push. And so that's a foul. And Cesar Palacios becomes active in the play because he's actually challenging for the initial header. So I have no problem with how the referee went about this and how VAR went about this. Hey, we saw a handball. Was there a handball? Yes. But let's see the full picture of the play. And is there a push ahead of the handball? I think there is. And so once you go, take a look at it and evaluate all the aspects of the play, they came to the correct decision. This is VAR working at a high level. There, I said it.
Mario, do you agree with Ale?
Say nothing different from Ale. Okay. Totally agree with you.
Yeah.
No notes. No notes from Mario. Stevie, come on, can we give him a full sweep?
Ali Moreno, correct.
100%.
Yep, okay. So that's how things are standing for Real Madrid right now. However, next up for them is Manchester City. And that's going to be interesting as well to see how things go, because that's who we know they've played early for, because they've got this game coming up in the last 16. Mario, how do you see them up against this City side? It's not like City is setting the world alight this season either, but Real Madrid have definitely got their problems.
Yeah, of course. If you ask me right now, as I told you before, for me, this Real Madrid is the worst in the last 15 years. But when they play in Champions League, Real Madrid is different. So if you ask me, my opinion is that Man City is favorite. For sure, that is a better team right now. But you never know with Real Madrid. When they play in Europe, it's totally different. And I don't know when it's going to be able Mbappe to play. I don't know with what players they are going to recover for the first leg. But I think Man City is favorite. But you can never trust when you have in front Real Madrid, you know. But in my opinion, for me, Man City is favorite. I don't know what you are going to say, if you agree with me or not, but I think so.
Can I just say, as we know, Mario, former Atletico Madrid player and Rayo Vallecano player, so a rival to Real Madrid, and yet I sense in Mario's voice that he himself, who has no affiliation with Real Madrid, he's frustrated with Real Madrid. He sees Real Madrid play and go, what team is this? Real Madrid over the years have created this history and this image of who they are and what they are as a team. And yes, this version of Real Madrid is far from what's expected and far from its best. At one point today, there was a substitution of number 45 for 37. And everybody in that stadium was like, who are these guys? Because they're not, are they in the list? Who is this guy? And that's where we are. And so to Mario's point, you have to imagine that Manchester City are favorites. And maybe we are somewhat biased in that we get to watch Real Madrid on a weekly basis, and so we see all the flaws and we're yet to see all the qualities, and so therefore we kind of go, Manchester City has to be better than this. Even though they haven't been great, they have to be better than this. That's how I'm coming into this matchup.
Real Madrid are at home for it, Stevie.
I don't know. That should be a good thing, but I don't know whether it will be. You know, you'd expect Real Madrid to go forward because the crowd demands it. But that just makes it harder for them defensively. With the pace that City have, with the smarts that City have going forward. And as average as Man City are at defending, right now, they're a step ahead of Real Madrid. So even though Real Madrid are at home, I'm finding it very hard to back them to win the game.